Welcome back to another edition of Standouts and Fizzouts. You guys know the deal by now at this point, or at least you should, where we cover all 32 NFL teams and current games they've got going on for that day, and, you know, guys that stood out and that didn't stand out or are fizzouts. Why are we saying fizzouts? Like, why is that such a big thing? Well, the truth is we just love pop. We think it should be replaced by water completely. Like, our water should replace pop, excuse me. We got our trusty Coke. We got all of our different things. Now, Coke the drink, not, you know, we're not into that in this channel. But I do think that it does come down to the fact that everybody has their own winners and losers things. Ours is standouts and fizzouts. So I do think at the end of the day, you know, you got to have your favorite kind of pop. Tell me what it is. Is it Sunkissed? Is it Coke? Is it Pepsi? Let me know. Mountain Dew? I don't care. Just let me know in the comment section what your favorite type of soft drink, another way of saying pop, is. So today we're talking about standouts and fizzouts between the Minnesota Vikings versus the San Francisco 49ers, you know, as they play in, in the second preseason game for both teams, you know, so a lot of different things going on so far. We've got about, I think we'll actually bring you guys right to it. So got about 4 minutes and 30 seconds here, but, you know, I know we might be cutting it a little bit close, you know, in terms of some things that we've seen, but overall, you know, in terms of, you know, players that have already stood out, I think it's important to really get out there and really just show what we've seen so far. So Sean Mannion, I hate to say it, but I think he has outplayed Kellen Mond to this point. You know, in preseason game 1 against the Las Vegas Raiders, it was very clear that Kellen Mond was the clear winner there. But today, his first three throws were very crisp. I loved it. I felt like he was in a great position there. I think what is that 16-yard completion to Olabisi Johnson, like that was fantastic over the middle there. You know, and that was it was fantastic. Like it just looked like, or maybe it was on the outside. Doesn't matter. It had a nice completion to BC Johnson. You know, really looked at home for those first three, and then after that, I think he got a little bit of pressure in his face. I think Kyle Hitton kind of misread a sack, but also I believe it was Kenny Nwangu whose pass protection did not quite stack up there, and that's okay. You know, these running backs, it's tough to hang on and take out these guys and try to battle those guys. So, you know, I do think at the end of the day, you know, you do exercise a little bit of understanding. Also, Ed Ingram for the Vikings, the potential starting right guard, did struggle against third-year man Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, and you know, I think it's indicative of the fact that, again, Javon Kinlaw, former first-round pick, you know, got a sack on Ed Ingram, and it was a very good move by Javon Kinlaw, and I do think that also Ed Ingram did miss a block on that screen, but it is what it is at this point. You can't beat up a guy. It was one of those things where, hey, he's going up against these guys that are higher level competition, but at the same time, you do have to stand up, you do have to make plays and do your thing for the team. So I understand the frustration, I understand all the different things going on in that regard. So would have liked to see a little bit stronger day from Ed Ingram. You know, those two plays, that sack and that screen, getting ahead of, I believe it was Kenny Nwangu there that didn't exactly, I mean, they had space to work with, and Ed Ingram just, and I think he had a little bit of indecisiveness, we'll put it that way, choosing which defender he was going to go after. And I believe Kenny Nwangu actually made a guy miss. So if Kenny Nwangu makes him miss, maybe waits a second as well. It was just the play was not very well executed by Nwangu or Ed Ingram. And again, I believe it was Nwangu. It might have been Ty Chandler, one of those boys, but I believe it was Nwangu. So overall, but that was the big thing that stood on that play. Ed Ingram just needs to find a guy to go block and take his head off. That's kind of what it comes down to. You know, Olabisi Johnson has had himself a great game. Actually, we're going to go back here. Ty Chandler had himself a very good game. Again, not the 5 carry, 50-yard type game he had against the Raiders, but 5 carries, 19 yards, and a touchdown. Scored the Vikings only touchdown. You gotta love it. You absolutely gotta love it. So, and then you also got Alexander Madison. I mean, he's a stud. Probably should start for another team if I'm being honest. Brian Koback also had that nice run of 11 yards. Looks like the 49ers have just scored, you know, on that last little second field goal there. So, you know, overall, like I said, I know we're doing this towards the end here, but it is important to really talk about the guys that have already stood out. So, you know, Amir Smith-Marsette, you know, as a wide receiver, I think he's going to make his mark as that wide receiver 4 guy. But Olabisi Johnson, you know, also fighting for that number 5, number 6 spot as well. Might be finding himself on the outside looking in as well. He's had 3 catches, 29 yards in this game. And then you also you saw Amir Smith-Marsette lose that fumble as well as the punt returner. That is rough overall, but I do think, you know, defensively that there's been a lot of standouts. First off, T.Y. Mcgill is just balling out here. Like, we talk about a guy that, you know, I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it, it was Johnson. Hold on. Who's the I gotta remember this. I could see his face. The former Johnson Vikings D tackle. I gotta remember this. No, it wasn't Jaleel Johnson. I can see his face right in my head, right in my dumb head. I can see Tom Johnson. That was it. Yeah, Tom Johnson. Tom Johnson was a guy that had bounced around from a lot of teams for the Vikings. T.Y. Mcgill, he's got a lot of resemblance because Tom Johnson really came on strong for the Vikings for a couple of seasons. T.Y. Mcgill being that backup potential pass rusher, I really like it. I think T.Y. Mcgill, I think he's found himself a roster spot. Absolutely. Chaz Rudd also has 7 tackles and half a sack this game. Pretty strong showing for the former North Carolina Tar Heel. Caleb Evans leading the way with 10 tackles. I feel like Caleb Evans has shown that he's more than capable in the pass game. He can get things done in the run game as well. I think Caleb Evans has a strong game as well. And then moving down the list here, Lewis Cine doing Lewis Cine things. I haven't seen anything glaring. I do believe, what was that completion that was on a rope, an absolute rope that I think Andrew Booth Jr. Oh, by the way, Andrew Booth Jr. did leave the game. He is out for the rest of the game with an ankle injury. I believe it was a non-contact injury, so something to watch out for there. But Lewis Cine almost closed in on that one play on the sideline. He's got some speed. I'll absolutely love it. Patrick Jones continues to make a case to be in the mix at edge. A big knock on him, I believe, coming out of the draft a couple years ago was his run defending ability, but at the end of the day, there was a couple plays that I felt him and Jonathan Bullard really showed how valuable they can be in the run game. They both were very much in there. I think it was one play in particular. He was going against a wide receiver, so there's a little bit of a caveat. We'll extend the olive branch, but he was going against a smaller wide receiver, but he did stretch out the play and then go make the play on the run game. So you love to see that. You expect him to win that matchup, and he did. What more do you want from the guy? But overall, I want to see more from Jalen Twyman, but it is what it is at this point. Armon Watts going to be that stud on the D-line for the Vikings. Brian Asamoah, I'm so excited for Brian Asamoah. It's probably sickening because that man just flies around, makes plays, does his thing all together, and it's just a lot of fun. He's a fun guy to be able to watch. So, I think as we kind of head forward here for the rest of the game, there's been guys, and obviously, yes, there's still 4 minutes left. There's still a lot of football left to watch, but, those are guys that have stood out for us, and FIZZOUTS, guys, unfortunately, like Ed Ingram, Amir Smith-Marsette, as a punt returner, I'm really excited for him to be the number 4 wide receiver, though. But, guys that kind of could fall in that fizz out category, Jalen Twyman, a little to a degree. I do think he's in a very crowded defensive line room. Also, this, whether it was Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, none of his staff drafted Jalen Twyman, so I do get it to a degree. But Asezi Otomehu, another guy I felt like was going to be in the mix there on that defensive line, but it's stacked. This entire defensive line is stacked. Also, Kyle Hitton, I felt like he actually has played pretty well, but I do believe it was him that got fooled on that on one of that stunt play that led to that Kellen Mond sack. Or it wasn't, maybe it was a pressure, but it was that Kellen Mond pressure that led to that interception. Kyle Hitton got fooled a little bit there, but also at the same time, yes, he was at fault, but Kenny Nwangu has to step up in that pass blocking facet as well. So blame to go all around, and I don't think you'll find any of these guys that will be shortchanging anyone as far as blame. I know they'll take responsibility, but overall, some exciting things coming out of the Vikings and 49ers preseason game, and also we'll go over to the 49ers here. Brock Purdy has looked pretty good. No pun intended. Well, probably pun intended. I know that the stats may not necessarily show it, but 14 of 23, 128 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. I got to be honest with you. What was he, Mr. Irrelevant this year? I like Brock Purdy. I think he can be something special in this league. At the very least, be a quality backup. I think he's got some tools to work with. Nate Sudfeld, 13 of 17, 102 yards and a touchdown. It is what it is at this point. Nate Sudfeld, I think he's a very good player, at least a very good backup, and will be to Trey Lance. If it's not Jimmy Garoppolo, I know. But Tyrion Davis-Price, he's actually been able to run the ball pretty effectively against the Vikings, as has Jordan Mason, who has 6 carries for 36 yards in this game. The 49ers, they continue to run the ball very effectively. They have over 100 yards in this game, so very good to see that. Tanner Hudson has 5 catches currently for the 49ers at 43 yards. And then JaMychal Hasty has the lone touchdown for the 49ers as well. So there's a lot going on for the 49ers. Got a lot of guys. I'm actually really excited about guys like Ross Dwelley and Malik Turner, both guys that I think could find themselves on the roster as well. So, I'm really excited for what in terms of this 49ers offense. There's still so many pieces that are yet to be touched on. Then also, yes, Javon Kinlaw had that sack on Ed Ingram. It was a very good play. I got to admit, you're taking advantage of a rookie, but you're still making the play, and I love to see it. Orton Burks, he's been kind of flying around, making a lot of plays. Tariq Castro Fields, I believe the rookie, what is that, out of Penn State? I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's been a stud as well. But yeah, Orton Burks currently leads the way there for the 49ers with 8 tackles. And like I said, there's Drake Jackson. Oh yeah, that's another one. Excuse me. Drake Jackson has also made a couple plays there in the backfield, or at least near the line of scrimmage for the 49ers. I think he's going to be a stud for that team moving forward, and I'm really excited for Drake Jackson, the former USC product coming out. So, but like I said, a lot left, a little bit of football left to be played here. I do think at the end of the day, you got to be really excited. I honestly go back and we'll bring you guys the latest in terms of what we saw from the Vikings and 49ers preseason game. More on that coming up later this week. But let us know what you guys have seen from the game. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. We greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome. We love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms, so give us a like and a follow there. Also remember to give us a listen and sub on iTunes. And finally, if you have anything else you'd like us to cover, send us an email at thesportsvp@yahoo.com or put in the comment section down below, and we would love to cover it. But let us know what you guys think about standouts and fizzouts for the Minnesota Vikings versus San Francisco 49ers preseason game.